Hi guys, this is Umair back with another Java tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be talking about one of the most important but difficult topic in programming, recursion. Recursion is considered as one of the difficult topic while learning Java programming. It is included in all major programming languages. Many programmers learn programming but feel difficulty while learning recursion. Recursion is very helpful for many important things like iterating through different data structures, like we have tree data structure, we have graph data structure, and many other such kind of data structures. So in this tutorial I will be solving different recursion problems so that you may learn recursion, understand recursion, and practice recursion. So first of all, what is recursion? Recursion is refers to defining something in terms of itself. In programming, we use recursion in a function to call itself. Many data structure problems can be easily solved with recursion, but difficult to solve without recursion. Recursion is basically divided into two cases. Right now, I'm going to talk about how to write recursion, what are the different components of recursion. So basically, there are two base components of recursion. First one is the base case. It stops a function to call itself when specific condition matches, whereas there can be more than one base case or multiple base cases. I will be solving problems that will include no base case, one base case, and multiple base cases, so that you may get the idea of all these scenarios of base case. The general case where we call the function from within that function. All right, so I have just made this example, the flow of recursion, how recursion works. Right now you will understand more if we solve the problems, but let's see. This is the problem, that this is the function print numbers and it receives number. All right, and it's gonna print number 4 up to the number 1 with the recursion. So what it will do is I will call this function by sending a number. All right, and inside that function I have a print statement that will print 4, and inside the body of that function I'm calling that same function with the value 4 minus 1. all right, and it will call itself again, and it will come back right here in the body of that function and print 3, and it will call that function with 3 minus 1. Actually it should be num. I have written 3 just to elaborate you the actual value of num. all right, and once it will come back to 1 minus 1, all right, it will go back to the print numbers, and where I have written, I haven't shown you the code right here. There is a base case that if the num is equals to 0, then do nothing. So that base case will get true, then this recursion will stop. So we will print all the numbers from 4 up to 0. all right, so now let's start solving different problems related to recursion. So guys, these are the questions that I have created for recursion. I'm going to solve all these questions with the help of recursion. So let's start with the first one. In the first question, we need to print numbers from 5 to 1. I'm not allowed to use any loop or multiple print statements. So let's go to Eclipse. I have created an empty project with the recursion practice, and I'm going to solve all those questions in the same file. So let's say we have a question from 5 to 1. So let's create a function. Actually it should be outside it, public static void print numbers. all right, it's gonna take number. all right, and it's gonna print that from that number to 1. all right, actually I needed to write a number right here from any number up to 1. okay, so right now I need to define a base case that it's gonna start printing from that number up to 1. all right, so I need to set a base case that if num equals to 0, then do nothing, just return. So what it's doing is I will stop this function to be called itself when the number becomes 0. all right, so else I'm gonna call this print numbers from within the else. all right, this is my practice that I always try to write base case before writing actual code. Alright, so now I'm gonna write print numbers num equals num minus 1. Alright, but before that I'm gonna print it num. Alright, so it's gonna print 5. Let's say if we send the 5 inside it, it's gonna print 5. It will call itself with 5 minus 1, so it will receive 4. This will not get true and it will come back to else again unless this number gets true. Alright, once this number gets true, it will return nothing and it will stop calling this function from within this block. Alright, so let's see and try. Let's comment it print numbers and I'm gonna call print numbers and I'm gonna send 5. We can send any number. So now let's run it. So you can see that it has printed the numbers from 5 up to 1. So our code is working fine. Let's send something else. So it has printed from 10 up to 1 without using any loop or multiple print statements. It is printing all the values. Alright, now let's go and check out the next question. In the next question we have cats and each cat have 2 eyes. Send the number of cats to the function and return the total number of eyes all cats have. Alright, so if we send number 10, it should return value 20 because the cat multiplied by 2 should be the result. Alright, but we need to do it with recursion. Let's go and write a function print static int cat eyes and it's gonna receive cats. Alright, and now first let's find out the base case. So I'm gonna write cats equals to 0, return 0. Alright, this is where our program execution will stop. Alright, so inside else I need to call this function, alright, in a way that when it will return that particular value, it should be double the number of cats. Alright, so I'm gonna write return each cat have 2 eyes, so 2 plus cat eyes cats minus 1. Alright, so what it's gonna do is if let's say if it's receiving 5, it's gonna come inside else block and 2 plus it's gonna call this function again with the value of cats minus 1. Alright, and it's gonna call itself again and again unless this if condition gets true. If the cat becomes 0, it's gonna return 0. It will not affect anything because any number plus 0 is that actual number. So let's see and if it works. So now I'm gonna comment at cat eyes. Alright, and I'm gonna print cat eyes. Alright, and I'm gonna call that function. Alright, and send the number of cats. Let's say we send 5. Alright, it should print 10. So you can see that it has printed 10. Let's send 7. It should print 14. Alright, so it's working fine. It's printing the number of eyes all cats have. I'll show you the actual code, the actual process that is being run behind it, unless I solve the next questions. Actually I have drawn this factorial recursion problem, that how the factorial recursion is working. So let's wait for the next question because in the next question this is the factorial problem that I'll show you how the recursion work at the back end. Alright, so let's solve the next problem. Find the power by sending the base and power value to a function. Alright, so now let's define static int power, int base, int num. Alright, and first, as usual, I always try to write base case first. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send the base same, and I'm gonna decrement this num value. Alright, and I'm gonna multiply the base number with the num value unless the num becomes 1. Alright, so num equals to 1, then it should stop. So in order to stop it, I need to return the value of base, because the last value should also be multiplied. So I'm gonna write return base multiply by, I'm gonna call it base num minus 1. Alright, so it's gonna send, let's say we send 3 and 3, and it's gonna add 3 multiplied by call itself. Alright, and the num will become 2, and then it will become 3 multiplied by 2, and it will call itself unless num becomes 1, and it will return the actual value, and that will be multiplied to the result that we have been calculated all the way in this process. Alright, now let's go and try it out. So I'm gonna write 3 power system.out.println power and call the power 3 3. Alright, now let's run it. So you can see that it has printed 27 because 3 power 3 is 27. Alright, let's add 2 power 3, it should print 8. So it has printed 8. So our code is working fine. Alright, so our next question is we need to find a factorial. Factorial means that if we send 5, it should multiply 5 up to 1 and print the result 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1. Alright, so let's go and write this out. So public static int, we have factorial int num. Alright, you're gonna solve other problems where I will also add multiple base cases, multiple calling of the same functions. So wait for that. The next questions are according to that. Okay, so now let's solve this question first, because I want to explain you how the actual recursion is working with this illustration. Okay, so now let's first define the base case when this function should stop. So I'm gonna write if the factorial of 0 is 1 and the factorial of 1 is also 1. So we can add a condition that if num equals to 0 or if num equals to 1, alright, then return 1. Alright, and inside the else condition we can call this function. So I'm gonna multiply num with the lower value of this number. So I'm gonna multiply it and then factorial, and I'm gonna send num minus 1. Alright, actually num equals to 0 is not required here. I have just returned to explain you this thing. Alright, that we can also write multiple conditions inside if. Okay, so now let's go and check this out if it's working fine. So for we have factorial, so I'm gonna write system.out.println factorial, and I'm gonna send 5. Alright, so now let's run it. So you can see that it has printed 120 because 5 up to 1, if we multiply all these digits, it becomes 120. So let's go And check this out, it's just messed up because I have just drawn it with the mouse, so don't mind. So let's say that we have called this function and we have sent 4 inside this function. All right, so first time the base case will not get true because the base case identifies that if num equals to 0 or 1, but right now we have num 4. Okay, so it will come back to the else block. All right, and it's gonna call this statement. All right, so what it's doing, this is 4 because num is 4, and it's gonna multiply it, and it's gonna call the same function again. All right, and send 4 minus 1, and this particular part of code will call the whole function again, and it's gonna come down. All right, when it's gonna call that function again, it will again come back to the else block, and else block have num multiplied by factorial call, so num has 3 because we sent 4 minus 1. All right, and it's gonna multiply with the same function call. All right, and it's gonna call that function again with the 3 minus 1. All right, and 3 minus 1 is 2, so again the base condition will not get true. It's gonna come back to else again, and inside else 3 minus 1 2, so 2 multiplied by, it's gonna call itself again. All right, and 2 minus 1. All right, so now the base case will get true. All right, when this block will call the function again, it will receive 1 because we are returning 1. All right, so this is where our execution of recursion stop, and it will keep on returning the value that it has been processing. So now let's go, it's gonna receive 1. All right, so now this 1 will be multiplied by 2. All right, right here, and that result of this multiplication will be returned to this function call. All right, and now this 2 will multiply by 3, it will become 6 right here, and this result will be sent back to this function call. All right, and this 6 will be multiplied by 4. All right, and this result will be returned back to the statement from where we called that function. All right, so the result of that whole recursion will become 6 multiplied by 4 equals to 24. All right, so now let's see, we sent 5. Now let's check out by sending 4. So you can see that it has printed 24. So our illustration is showing that we are writing our program correctly. So you have got the idea that how the recursion is working at the back end. All right, so we have other questions that are very important for you to practice. I have written these questions, so let's go and solve these questions. So next question we have is the Fibonacci series. Okay, so let's go and define a function, public static int and Fibonacci, and it's gonna receive number. And again I'm gonna define the base case. So what should be the base case? What is Fibonacci series first? So Fibonacci series, I'm gonna send the number, let's say I sent 5, so I'm gonna count that number from here, 0 1 2 3 4 5. So I have 5 at the 5th position, I have 8 at the 5th position, I have 13 at the 7th position. So I'm gonna send 7 8 9, and it's gonna print me the number that exists at that position. You can see that any number is the sum of its previous two numbers. 13 is the sum of 5 8, 8 is the sum of 3 and 5, and so for others. So we're gonna write a program to send a number position, and it's gonna return that number that should exist in that number. We can send any number that can be 20, 30, 100, and it's gonna print that value out. Okay, so first let's add a base case num equals to 0. All right, so what we have, if our num is 0, means if we have a position 0, it should return 0. All right, so return 0. Actually right now I need to add another base case. If num equals to 1, then it should return 1. All right, and this is to just illustrate you that how the double base case works. Okay, when the num will 0, it will return 0. When the num will 1, it will return actually 1, because we have 1 at 1 position, we have 0 at 0 position. All right, and inside else case, we are going to call this function. Let's correct the spellings. Fibonacci series, copy it and paste it, and I'm gonna send num minus 1 plus num minus 2. All right, because any number should be the result of summation of its previous two numbers. So I'm summing up the previous number of that position number and the num minus 1. Okay, so now let's go and check out if it should work or not. So let's copy this line and paste it, and it should be Fibonacci series. Okay, so I'm gonna copy it and paste it, and I'm gonna send 6 so that it may return the value that is at 6th position. So I'm gonna run it. So it has returned 8. Let's go and check out if we have 8 at 6th position. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 8 at 6th position. Let's send 8 if it returned 21 or not. So I'm gonna send it 8 and run it. So it has returned me 21. So our code is working fine. You have to pick up the copy pencil and draw the backend, that how this thing is working, just like I have illustrate you how the factorial is working. When you will draw that how that Fibonacci series is working on your copy or on your notebook, you will get the better understanding that how you can further write recursion programs. All right, so now let's go and check out the other question that is very important and include some more interesting things in recursion. If we have a mobile phones, all the mobile phones are numbered from 1 up to any number. All right, so even number of mobiles have 2 speakers and odd number of mobiles have 1 speaker. Send the number of mobile to a function and return the total number of speakers all mobile phones have. We need to send the number of mobiles. We can send 5, 10, 15, and it's gonna return me that how many speakers are there in all the mobiles. I need to find out if this mobile number is even, then I should return 2, and if it's odd, then I should return 1. All right, and I'm gonna sum up all these speakers. So let's go and write code of it. All right, so I'm gonna write public static int, and I'm gonna write speakers int mobiles. Alright, so let's add a base case. If mobiles equals to 0, then return 0. Alright, and else, because we have, if we keep on decrementing the number of mobiles and the mobiles become 0, then it should return 0 because 0 mobile have 0 speakers. Alright, so now let's check out if mobiles mod 2 equals to 0, means if the mobile number is even number, then what should I do? I should return and plus 2 inside it. Alright, and now I'm gonna call that function again by decrementing the mobiles variable. So mobile speakers, and I'm gonna send mobiles minus 1. Alright, so it will keep on calling this function, alright, by decrementing its value with a 1, and it will keep on sum up 2 inside it. Alright, and else, if it's not even, means it's odd. So I'm gonna copy this statement and paste it, and I'm gonna add 1. Alright, because for odd there has to be 1 speaker, for even there has to be 2 speakers. Now let's go and check out if it works or not. So I'm gonna copy it. 6th, mobile speakers, and I'm gonna call that function. Let's copy that function name, and I'm gonna paste it, and I'm gonna send there are let's say we have 4 mobiles, so that it gets easy for us to manually calculate the number of speakers. So let's run it. So it has returned 6. Alright, because we have 1, 3, and it will return 2 because these are odd numbers, and we have 2 and 4, so these have 2 speakers. Each one I have 2 speakers, so 4 plus 2 equals to 6, so it's working fine. Again, you need to pick up your notebook and draw the illustration that how this thing is working. In this problem I have showed you that how we can call the same function from multiple places. I have called the same function from this if condition. We can also add different if conditions inside this if condition and call it multiple times. We can call it 10 times, 20 times, depends upon our problem. Alright, so now let's go and check out the next question. In the next question, we need to send an integer to a function and return the sum of all digits of that number. If we send 1 to 3, then it should return 6 because 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. So it has given me the hint that how this thing can be worked. If I take a mod with 10 of that number, it will give me the last digit of that number. Alright, and if I divide that number by 10, it's gonna give me that number except the last digit. So it has removed 1 and it has returned me 3 2. Alright, so we need to get the idea from mod and division and solve this problem with the help of recursion. Now let's go and write a function of it. Let's just minimize these functions. Alright. So now let's go and write public static int sum int num. Alright, so what should be the base case? Base case should be let's say we are not decrementing any values inside num. Num is actually containing the whole digit, and we don't know if we have to decrement 1, 2 or 3, so we need to add a different base case. Let's say we are keeping on separating the digits of that number. So when should we stop? We should stop when that num variable should only contain 1 digit. Alright, this is the last thing that we can call this function. All right, so in the base case we can check if num is less than equals to 9, because this is the only case this num will have one digit. All right, because if it's greater than 9 it will have two digits, 1 0 1 1. So I'm checking out if this num is containing only one digit, then return num, then return that number so that we may add up this number in the result of all the summation of other digits. All right, so inside else what I need to add, I need to separate the last number and call that function again and send that function the number except last digit. All right, so first I'm gonna separate the last digit with the help of mod. All right, so I'm gonna write return num mod 10 plus. All right, so this is where I'm separating the last digit of that integer. All right, so now I need to call that function and send it a number except the last digit. All right, so I'm gonna send sum, and I'm gonna remove the last digit and send it to that num again. So I'm taking help from division operator. All right, so now let's go and check this out. 7, and we have sum. So let's add a message, sum of digits. Let's copy this function name and paste it, and I'm gonna send it a number, like let's say we have 1 3 5. All right, let's run it. So it has returned me 9 because 1 plus 3 plus 5 equals to 9. Let's change it to, let's say, 6. Now it should return 6 plus 3 plus 5. It should return me 14. So it has returned me 14. So it's working fine. We have a base case. We are calling the same function from inside. So it's working pretty well. All right, now let's go and check out. We have two questions left. So in the next question, we need to call an integer again, and we need to count the digit 5 inside that integer. All right, again we can use mod and division for counting the digit 5. Like this number, we have 3 5s, 1 2 and 3. All right, so it's pretty much same like this number. So I'm gonna copy this function, all right, and paste it below. All right, and right now I'm just going to change its name, count 5. All right, and I'm gonna remove the code. All right, I want to write the whole code again. Okay, so let's think of that, what the base case can be. Okay, so base case is if num is less than equals to 9. All right, because again we need to divide that whole integer into separate digits. All right, and if we reach up to the last digit, that this number contains the last digit, then what should I do? I can't return that number because I'm counting digit 5. So inside that base case I can write another if condition, all right, and check if the number is 5, then return what? Return 1, because I'm counting digit 5. I'm not adding up any 5 digit. All right, and else return 0, because if the digit is not 5, then I shouldn't add up that 1 inside it. Now our base case is done. Now let's check out if we have a digit 5. So let's check if num mod 10 equals to 5. So we are separating the last digit and checking out if it's equals to 5, then return 1 plus. I'm gonna call this function again by adding up 1. All right, and count 5. And what I need to send, I need to send a number except the last digit. All right, because I've already checked the last digit if it's 5 or not. So I can send num divided by 5, num divided by 10. All right, so I'm gonna write else. If it's not 5, then I'm gonna return 0 plus count 5 num divided by 10. All right, so I think that's done. I choose this question because I wanted to show you how to add nested ifs in recursion and as well as inside the base case and nested if else inside the actual general case. All right, now I'm gonna call this count 5 and I'm gonna send the number inside it. All right, so let's add a comment 8 and what's it's doing, it's going counting 5. All right, and I'm gonna print that out counting 5 and count 5 and I'm gonna send it a number 235351 all right, so we have 5 digits inside this number, so this function should return 3. Let's run it. So it has returned 3. Let's remove 1 5 from it. All right, and let's run it again. So it has returned 2. So our code is working fine. I hope that you have get the idea that how I am writing base case and general case with respect to the question that we have. Now let's go and check out our last question. We have a binary search. If you have already done some programming, I hope that you have done some programming, because nobody learn recursion without knowing any basics of programming. It's very difficult topic, so you need to first go and to have an experience in programming and have done some search algorithms, sorting algorithms. So binary search, let me explain you a bit that we have a linear search and binary search. In linear search, we keep on iterating whole array, all right, or all the values of object one by one and find the value at that particular index. All right, binary search, we divide the array into 2 parts. All right, and check that particular value if the that value is greater than the middle value of that array or not. If it's greater, then we leave the half of the part of array and check out in the next part of the array. So this is how binary search works. If you don't know how to work with binary search, go and check out from the internet. Okay, now let's write this last question. It's going to be very interesting. All right, and I'm gonna add a function public static int and I'm gonna name it binary search. All right, and it's gonna receive not one number, we can send more than one values inside function. So I'm gonna send it array. In binary search, we need to send a sorted array for searching any particular value. So I'm gonna send a sorted array inside it. So we need to send a key that which value we want to search inside that array. All right, it's gonna return the index of that value. So we need to send a start, all right, and end. All right, because in binary search we need to take care of the if we are looking or searching any value from which position, that has to be the start, and from till up to which position till then we need to end up searching. Okay, so right now we need to add in this recursion problem, I'm gonna call this particular function in the base case directly, so that in order to show you that it is not actually required for you to write a base case first and then write code and call that particular function. So once we will do this question, you will get the idea that how to work with it. So first I'm gonna check out if start is less than equals to end. All right, because in binary search our start should be less than equals to end. Okay, so int middle equals to start plus end divided by 2. We need to find the middle value uh, of that array, so that with the help of that start index and the end index. All right, now I'm gonna write if condition. So this is where I'm gonna checking out if return, actually if array middle is greater than key, then return binary search, and I'm gonna send it array key start and middle -1. All right, if the key value is greater than the middle value of that array, then we shouldn't be care about the rest of array from that middle position. Okay, so now in else if array middle is less than key, all right, then we need to send the middle +1 to the start of that function. Okay, so I'm gonna write middle binary search array key and middle +1, and last one is the end. All right, now if we have a key that is not less than or greater than that middle value, it means we have found the key. So inside else we can return the position of that value. All right, it's giving me error because if this if condition does not get true, it's not returning anything. So we need to add an else condition to remove that error. So else return nothing, return -1, because -1 does not exist as indices of array. So if the else block execute, it means that we haven't found any value inside that array. All right, so now I hope that you have got the idea. In all these questions, I would recommend you to take a copy and pencil and draw the sketch and illustrate that how the recursion is working in any particular problem. Okay, so now let's go and test this out. This is the last question. So 9, and I'm gonna write binary search and system.out. Let's define an array first. So int array, and I'm gonna add different values in sorted order. Let's say 11, we have 34, we have 56, we have 77, 88, 99, we have 1 2 3 4 5 6, we have 2 3 4 5. All right, so we have initialized our array. All right, now let's go system.out.println and binary search. All right, and I'm gonna call that function. Let's copy the name of that function and paste it right here. And now I'm going to send first array, then key, then start and end. Okay, so array is array, which value we want to find. Let's say we want to find 99. All right, that is at the index 0 1 2 3 4 5, so our function should return 5. Then we should send 0 at start, so 0, and end should be the length of array -1. All right, so let's see. So it has returned me 5 because 99 is at the 5th position. Let's change it and check out for a couple of more values. So let's add 3 4. It should return 1. So it has returned 1 because it is at index 1. Let's change it to 4 5 6. All right, so it has returned me 7 because 4 5 6 is at the position 7. All right, so guys, we have done all these questions. I hope that you have got the idea how recursion is working and you have practiced recursion problems with me as well. If you face any problem or have any question about these problems that we have just solved, just comment below. I will give you the answers of your questions. Make sure you subscribe my channel for more videos related to game programming, Java game programming, JavaScript game programming and other languages, and like this video if you like these problems to be solved with your own hand. So thanks for watching this video.